Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Compass of Curiosities. I am Ian. We have Russ in the back end trying to get some things squared away with our videos. So I'm going to be your host for the first few moments while we wait for Russ to come back on. I'm going to run through some of our sponsors as we normally do. Just want to kick these up here. And as you guys know, Warner Paranormal Preservation Society, as always, back in Compass of Curiosities and helping preserve and save local and regional historic sites through not only historic tours, but also paranormal tours. Check us out at warnerparanormal.com. We have a few events that are coming up at the Heart Stuff Hall over in Rockland, Massachusetts over the next couple of months. Keep an eye out. We have one big one, which is our Murder Mystery Night we do every year. This is our second or third annual. So check that out at the events tab over at warnerparanormal.com. Then we have Kimberly Ann Empowerment, local photographer to Hanover, Massachusetts, doing empowerment photography through boudoir, pinup, and various other goddess shoots. So definitely check her out at KimberlyAnnEmpowerment.com. Check her out on Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, all that jazz at KAE Empowerment. And then Get Moderated. I also sponsor this show as a part of another show. Check me out on Thursday nights where we go into deeper dives on the scientific side of the paranormal and all things weird. We have a couple of shows coming up. We have Get Haunted's very own Sarah coming on to discuss past life regressions, residual energies, and really the mythos and history behind all of that throughout different cultures. Oh, don't know why that got kicked off. So Russ is figuring some stuff out here, so he was able to take care of that, luckily. And then we have some of the Celtic cryptids coming up in the beginning of May. So check us out there. Small Town Productions, another one of our major sponsors here. Definitely give them a look on all the different socials. I am getting whiplash here. Trying to get through this. Russ apparently is getting these things uploaded as we go. Definitely check them out at smalltownproductions.com. And then Jeff's Traveling Boards of Wonder. If you guys don't know Jeff, he's the individual with hundreds of Ouija boards that comes around with his mobile museum and the Traveling Board Show. Definitely check it out. He's also going to be at the Maine Horror Paracon. If you guys don't know, he's actually going to be one of the hosts of that event. Tickets still are on sale for that. Man, this is like a comedy of errors right now. I'm trying to get through these. Russ, you're killing me, man. This is like one of those old Who's on First issues. All right. Tickets are still available for the Maine Para Horrorcon. Come meet some of the premier names in the paranormal, as well as some of us smaller names. For those of you who like to watch weird and odd podcasts and videos, you can definitely check us out there. So Compass Curiosities will be in attendance along with a few others that you may know from the network. Hey Russ, how we doing?
Hello, sir. Yes, I'm sorry about that. That was a quick back and forth. Like I didn't realize every time I uploaded something, I didn't realize it would pop on screen the minute I uploaded it.
Yo, it definitely did. I don't know if I'm the only one hearing you a little soft here, but I could be wrong.
Can you hear me now? Everybody in the audience.
Yeah, Damien, let us know. Stacy, let us know. How's the audio on this? Am I incredibly loud and he's incredibly soft?
Well, Rob says you're broadcasting from the moon.
I am broadcasting from the moon.
It's a secret base.
It's the secret base of Compass of Curiosities, located on the dark side of the moon.
Stacy said you are low.
All right, so you are low.
Both Stacy said low.
All right, well, Stacy also says it's okay. So moving right along.
All right. I've never had to adjust my my mic before. Okay.
This is amazing. I love it.
This is
yeah. Okay, Damien. So I'm probably a little bit louder than normal. I have my mic dialed way up. So if you do want to become a sponsor of Compass and Curiosities, definitely check us out, compasscuriosities@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on the old Facebook. Russ checks that extremely religiously. Right on, mic eating it. Oh, okay. Well, fine.
Yeah, they're saying you're eating your mic. That's
all right. Fine. I'll back it up. I've
all right.
completely changed my mic settings for tonight, so I'm out of sorts. We're gonna get rid of that.
Well, don't we have a video to play for tonight too, as well? Let me see.
I believe we do. I believe we have the main horror Paracon video, as well as our introduction to our wonderful guests tonight, who are being incredibly patient in the back end as we
they are work through
bumble
this tragedy
around
of comedies.
like a couple of bumbling idiots, like we've never done this before.
All right, well, let's play Jeff's video real quick, and we will get on the way.
All right, I'm just going to have a little bit of my Waffle House coffee, and we'll be good to go.
The first annual Maine Paranormal and Horror Con is coming to Maine on September 6th and 7th at the Augusta Civic Center. Come meet your favorite paranormal investigators, cryptid hunters, and horror icons. Special guests include John Zaffis, the haunted collector from Sci-Fi, Jeff and Willie from Mountain Monsters, Bob Elmore Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, CJ Graham, also known as Jason Voorhees from Jason Lives Part 6, Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot, and many more to be announced. Tickets are on sale now. Go to mainparahorror.com to get your tickets and VIP packages now. For more information, check out Maine Paranormal and Horror Con on Facebook and Instagram.
All right. Well, with that being up there and done now, I want everybody out there to say a couple prayers for Mr. Jeff, and Ashley tonight. Jeff had to be sent to the hospital earlier this afternoon. So, Jeff, Ashley, if you guys are out there listening, which I know you guys probably are at some point because you have nothing else to do sitting in the hotel hospital room. We're thinking about you guys and hope everything comes out better on the end. So just throwing that out there. So let's jump into our guests tonight. Ian, I know you have a plethora of questions for these guests tonight.
As always.
So why don't we bring them on? I'm going to feel bad if I skewer the last name here, but I believe it is Rathman. But I will let them correct me when they bring them on. So without further ado, here is Tony and Sherry.
Hello, guys.
Hello. And you can be completely honest with me. It's completely fine if I skewered your last name.
No, you said it absolutely perfect, Rathman.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right,
perfect.
I was just making sure. All right,
and
guys,
it wouldn't matter. That's my specialty, is butchering somebody's last name. I'm really good at it.
Oh, I normally just go first name, last initial. That's what I normally do. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I've been following your work for a little bit now, and I'm very heavy into the audio side of paranormal investigating and things. Can you explain a little bit to everybody kind of what you do and what Staticom 3.0 is?
Sure. My wife sitting next to me 15 years ago, when we first started, she got into the paranormal programs. Thank you for the correction. Paranormal programs that started coming out on TV. I did not think any of it was real. In fact, my father was a physics instructor. So everything I asked as a kid, Dad, why is the sky blue? Well, because there's water vapor in the air when the sunlight hits it. Blue's the most reflective color. That's why the sky looks blue. Nothing about ghosts, demons, spirits. Mm-hmm. But she was watching all these shows, and she's like, come on over. You got to watch this with me. You'll love it. I'd last about 2 minutes. Yeah. And I'd look at her and I'd go, this is BS. None of this is real. And I'd walk away. Well, then she tricked me back in 2010 on Valentine's Day. And she said, I want to do something.
Happy anniversary, by the way.
Oh, yes. Today's our.
I was literally going to tell you that, guys. Happy anniversary. I saw that on Facebook today.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you for joining us on your anniversary.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure. We love talking about Staticom. But anyway, she tricked me and she said, I want to do something different for Valentine's Day this year. I said, okay. What would you like to do? She goes, I want to go ghost hunting. And I was like, oh my God, you're kidding me. Well, I had two choices. I could take her or have her mad at me until next Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Happy
And
wife,
split
happy
up.
life.
When
Right.
you would have had to have taken her, right? So
Absolutely. There was no choice in the matter. As much as I didn't want to have anything to do with it, I had to pretend. So I looked online. Luckily, there was a location here in Phoenix that had what I called at that time a reputation for being haunted. So I booked her a weekend, thought I was good. And then I'm like, wait a minute, they're using equipment. She's going to need stuff. So I bought her a night vision camera,
Digital recorder. And I remember you also brought a microphone.
I didn't know how it worked. Yeah, she had an interview mic. I didn't know how it was
It's so
done.
funny. It's our first time, and I'm like holding the mic.
She's
singing.
like interviewing ghosts. Like, are there
Is there
any
any
spirits
ghost?
here?
That's so funny.
That's one way to do it.
Right.
But anyway, I played along. She had a great weekend. That was all I cared about. But when she got the stuff home and she started going through the audio, we were one of 2 or 3 guests in the whole hotel, and we were in places guests aren't even supposed to be at like 3 a.m. And so we get the pictures home, we get the video home, we get the audio recorder home. She starts going through it. She's calling me over every couple of minutes going, who's this voice? There was nobody else there. What's in this picture? That light anomaly or that shadow wasn't there when we took it. To make a long story short, I could not debunk it. I finally said to her, let's go back. Let's take a look. Maybe there's an air vent. Voices were coming through we weren't aware of. Maybe there was a street light shining a light into the basement we weren't aware of, and it's affecting the pictures. Well, we went back. We couldn't debunk anything, and we got even more. But like you guys, I was most fascinated with audio. Why? Because it could blow away any other device on the market back then or even today. Why? Because I could tell whether I was talking to a male or a female. I could tell if it was an adult or a child. I could tell what language they were speaking. I could tell if they had a territorial accent or dialogue. I could tell their emotional state. Were they upset? Were they angry? Were they happy? Were they sad? I got a bucket load of information before I even listened to the response that came through. And to me, nothing could match that. So once we kept going back to try to figure out what was happening and realize, wait, there is something going on here, our focus immediately went to EVP. From EVP, we transitioned to ITC.
Yes.
Yep. And from ITC to DRV. And from DRV, we created Staticom.
Interesting. Tony, you remind me a lot of Ian when he started.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
So
the skepticism on everything.
Well, not only just the skepticism.
He is very skeptic.
Any of it.
Yeah.
None of it.
Not only just the skepticism, but the real reason why I got involved with investigating groups was you had actually said something when you were telling the stories like, oh, they had equipment. That was the reason I got involved with the group. I've always kind of believed in ghosts. I've had experiences and things like that, but it was on my first trip out ghost hunting. Someone had a motion detected, but it did thermal detection of motion. It did the standard IR reflective, and then it did the low band sweep for motion. And they were so protective of it, and they were talking about how it was like a $300 little box.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's some bullshit. And so I effectively went online to Tiger Direct and Alibaba and built one for like $35. I fired up my 3D printer and was like, I could do this. And so even with like REM pods and things like that, I'm like, oh, I can throw a theremin in here and have a resistor threshold of space for LEDs to fly off. And so it's funny that was your kind of segue into it all, because it was very much mine as well.
Yeah, that's what we do too. When Tony become obsessed with EVP, I tried to buy him a spirit box with some ITC builder. Remember that the first time?
Yeah.
So probably I bought two. And then, so what he did, he opened the box, see what's in it, and then create his own.
He just looked at it and goes, I can make this better.
Spirit box.
I wanted to know what was in it. I mean, I worked in the electronic shop when I was 16 repairing radios and television. So I knew, I had the background, and I'm like, I want to see what components are in here. And it took me maybe 15 minutes. And I said, I can do this.
He also made a SLS, SLS,
including
the SLS camera. Yep.
Including all the
and
coding.
You programmed it yourself.
Yep.
No kidding. Okay. See, I've always been very skeptical on the SLS cameras.
Yeah, so, I just wanted to experiment with it, but I agree. The camera is made to identify the human body. I understand it's infrared, and people say, well, the infrared can pick up things the human eye can't see. Well, it can also pick up things the human eye can see, like the chair or anything that's got what looks like two legs, a torso, and an arm. And
that's the thing too, is it's really looking for like that bipedal stick figure that it can kind of just match.
That's how it was designed. So yeah. Does it have reliability? No.
Yeah.
No, Tony, you remind me of myself because I actually had one of the first ever ghost box that Radio Shack made.
Oh yeah.
The little ones that are like supposed to be like the cream of the crop. Yep, the Hack Shack. And I tell you what, I got such great results with that because it was so simple. There wasn't all your bells and whistles.
Those actually worked really well. If it was the original one that people started doing the conversion on, clipping the two cords on it and then rerouting. Actually, no, I think you just clip those if I remember right.
You just clip them and leave them be, and it runs.
Right.
Yep.
It worked really well. That's what Jason used to use when we were at the Bel Air house. He got some good stuff on it.
Yeah.
I loved my Shack Hack, and it was really great. Tracy Talick, or Stacy Talick, excuse me, not Tracy, asked, have you ever thought about using voice recognition with AI?
No, well, actually, something has come up that we're going to look into, which would probably be Staticom 4.0. So it's going to be a ways off. But our main goal was to first alleviate anything, because even today, science does not take truly EVP or ITC seriously. And why is that? Is because first they'll say, because everything up till now, or at least in the United States, used a radio as its basic foundation for claiming I'm getting spirits from the afterlife. Mm-hmm. And that was complaint one. You're using a radio, you're claiming you're getting voices, and then you're claiming they're from the afterlife. How can you prove that? Mm-hmm. What a radio does is interpret RF signal and turn it into speech or music. It is designed to pull speech. That was concern one for us that we wanted to avoid. The other complaint from scientists, academia, and even skeptics, especially when talking both spirit boxes or ITC, is that they claim you're hearing warbles and artifacts of sound, not speech. And then your brain, through pattern recognition, is trying to make sense of those warbles and artifacts and makes you think you're hearing speech. So we wanted to create something that literally took all that low-hanging fruit away, A, by removing the radio, B, by making the speech so clear that nobody had differences of opinion on what they heard. That was step one, from DRV to to Staticom 3, because it went from getting it clear to trying to get it to stay clear. We'd get some clear stuff here and there. 2.0 was better. It would last longer, then it would disappear. 3.0, we nailed it. Every time we turn it on, it's crystal clear.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I have a clip here that I'm going to play, and it's called Energy of Your Mind, I believe it's called.
Before you play that, do you have one called DRV Bocce?
I do not, but I could bring it up here in 2 seconds.
That's still direct radio voice, and it'll give you an indication because we can run through. There's one clip of DRV, 2 of 2.0, and I think 3 of the bigger one. Yep, that's it.
All right, so I will play this, guys, for you guys to listen to. And was this the original when you guys first started, right?
This is direct radio voice when we got it working. Now, what I'm going to tell you about this clip is that it was the clearest clip we had ever had in over a year of evaluating, researching, and trying to improve direct radio voice.
Okay. All right, everybody, put on your ears and listen in.
Spirits, can you please try to communicate with us through this device? Who's watching?
Bachi,
That was clear. Do you want us to do the rumbling?
Bachi, are you keeping track of what we're doing?
Marcello, can you see us?
Yes.
Thank you. Marcello, you started this method. It's working. Can you please try to communicate with us?
Okay, so can you give us a little insight into that? Because there's a couple names that I'm believing are foreign names. Got
Marcello Bacci used direct radio voice for about 35 years. When we started this whole process, our former counterparts went back through history, went through every device that was ever known, Spiritcom, direct radio voice, and all the others, and went through what kind of results were given, what was tested, what was debunked, what was criticized. Marcello Bacci is well known. He was an Italian gentleman. He learned it from Constantine Radeve, who learned it from Friedrich Jurgensen. But he would literally call general public into his home who was suffering from lost children, and he'd get messages for them. Well, he was brought into a science laboratory, and they couldn't debunk it. They pulled out his vacuum tubes out of the radio one by one. And they pulled out the first one, he still got voices. They pulled out the second one, he still got voices. The scientist said, if I pull out the third one and you still get voices, I'll eat it. He pulls the third one. Marcello still had voices. Then Marcello said, don't eat that, that's glass. But they couldn't debunk it. They couldn't understand how it was happening, and they couldn't dismiss it as being some sort of unprecedented
discovery at the time.
Correct. So it was the one method of communication that was tested by scientists and couldn't be debunked. So that's where we started.
Okay, Sherry, so I'm going to take this in a different direction. This question is going to be aimed at you. I know you kind of got your start in the paranormal, as everybody kind of did, with the shows, with the interest in it and everything like that. What was your main draw towards the paranormal that you were like, I want to go out and do this?
Well, first of all, like Tony mentioned earlier, because I got interested and fascinated what the show was doing. And I'm like, I can do this. And also, I was born in and raised in the Philippines. So we have quite a few, experience in the Philippines. And
Of course.
so, yeah, when I was young, And so when I migrated here in United States, I saw this show. So I'm like, I think I can do this. So I've been watching and watching, and then I dragged Tony to this paranormal world, which sometimes I regret it. So I'm like supporting Tony right now. I'm supporting Tony of what he loves, what he's good at, and I think he's very talented. I'm just his sidekick when we're building spirit box.
You were not a
It's not-
sidekick, Sherry. Calm
he's
down.
not only
No.
building the spirit box, he's using me as the tool to get into the box because he has a big hand.
I couldn't get these hands into it. I'm like, Sherry, can I borrow your hands, or can you just put that? And she's like, sure. Boom, put it right in. I'm like, perfect.
And when we're doing investigation, oh my gosh, we have a full closet of equipment.
Yeah.
I have to carry all the box. I have to carry all the cords, wiring. So
you would help take stuff into the location.
I know,
but you didn't do it.
But it's fun, and I wanted to, at first, that's what my goal wanted to experience, whether I will catch something or.
And we did.
Yes, we did. And
we've had some amazing experience. Some of the best locations we've investigated were in the Philippines. The Diplomat Hotel, White House, not like our White House. It's just but it's very
a White House.
Yeah. And the history.
The history is just amazing and violent in places. But yeah, that's how it got started.
Yeah, but right now, since we're getting old, we can't, stay up.
Oh, stop that. Stop that right now.
I know. We're getting old. We can't stay that late anymore.
That's
so
true.
we tried not to limit the investigation, just do the spirit.
Well, the lucky thing is that we
or
realize that paranormal
Staticom.
activity happens any time of the day. So we can do it from 10 to 2 and then go home and take a nap.
Oh, you're
Well,
right.
that's
There
one
you
thing
go.
that I always think is really funny, right? Is everyone assumes that you have to be out there at 1 a.m. And,
Yeah, no, you don't.
We have a
Exactly.
really good friend of ours that when she goes out on walks during the day, she'll bring a piece of equipment with her just out on trails. And we're up in New England. There's a lot of original native tribal area and things like that are state parks now. And she goes out with different pieces of equipment just on a regular walk at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And she gets some pretty interesting things.
Yeah.
It's true.
Now,
It's not-
Sherry, do you feel you created a monster with Tony because you were the one that was interested in it? And Tony was just like, I don't believe this, because it actually reminds me a lot of Ian and his wife.
Oh my God. I did create the monster there.
I
Because-
did.
Ian's
I
wife
did.
was not into the paranormal really whatsoever at all.
No.
Once he started getting into it and starting to get her to open up and come to these events and come and hang out with the people, now she's full bore. Like Ian, I don't think Ian can even stop her at this point.
No,
Yeah, I think it's all my fault because I supported him all the time.
Yep.
I'm the one that buying him the equipment.
You bought the last piece of gear because I had bought like 4 before that. She's like,
Yeah.
I'll get it for you. I'm like, thank you.
So
How many
and
packages are coming
now
today?
I told him, can we just sell all your equipment? We're not doing this anymore. Or because we have like 12 spirit bots. They're actually
14.
14.
But they were hand built. I mean, these weren't purchased. We designed them. We just never sold them because they were for research.
Yeah, but they're really good and it does really work. Except it's not like Staticom though. You still
Because
hear
there's a problem with Spirit Box, and that's
Right.
the assumption that spirits are going to take fragments of audio from radio and rearrange them.
Mm.
That does not happen.
Yeah. I've always found it really strange when I get positive, and again, quotations, positive results from using things like spirit boxes, because it's such a outlandish concept.
Well, it's not. They do work, but the problem is that your amount of communication you can get from them is limited because a spirit box scans forward or reverse, up and down the dial at
Yep.
whatever speed you pick it to go at. So
Well,
if you pick 100 milliseconds, it's hitting a station probably every 10th of a second.
And
So the
so
problem
you're
with that,
assuming that the spirit's able to amplify the syllable in that one run and find the next one quick enough. Like,
well, they'd all have whatever syllables they needed to create words would all have to be available to them at that instant. They would have to
Exactly.
rearrange at the speed of light. That doesn't compute for us.
and
But
that's
what we
and from a
realized through
scientific guy, that's what I mean. Like, it's so wildly improbable when I get a positive response.
Well, we got lots of responses, but it's during the white noise, the in-between stations. They don't use the stations at all. The voices would come in above or below where the radio frequencies were coming in. So that was indication one, RF wasn't needed. Then our former partners did a zinc mine 30 feet underground. DRV was the only thing to be able to get voices. No spirit box was able to. Then we tested the sleep machine. I recorded air conditioners, fans. I could pull voices, tape mics to my car when I drove around town. I could pull voices from all of it, but there was no consistency in the level of the white noise. Whereas a white noise generator has a spectral frequency of 1, meaning all signals are even at the same level. And that's when we tried it, said this is the answer right here.
And so,
Okay, now go ahead, Ian.
Russ.
Sorry. No, sorry. Go ahead.
So what would you say to those, like, for me, right, where I have just enough technical background to be a menace, but not enough to be a professional? When you're dealing with pattern recognition in a programmed situation, again, this is like, what it was, the Necrobox or whatever, that app that just tells everybody there's evil demons there to kill them. Where do you find yourself in that? Because there is that back end firmware, right, that is running the box, that is saying, all right, we are actively looking for speech pattern recognition, right?
Wait, are you talking about apps, or what are you referring to that's doing this?
Well, so just software in general, right? So
Okay.
you have software and firmware that are actively kind of combing for sounds, right? And collective sounds. And I have yet to have the chance to order one of your pieces of equipment and open it up. So I'm not entirely sure what the hardware is on these. But there has to be something that's actually in there coding for sound, right? It's pushing the audio, right?
Well, let me tell you, it's a physics principle called stochastic resonance. Stochastic resonance uses white noise to make sounds that are undetectable either to the human ear or to a sensor, elevated enough to make them detectable either to a sensor or to the human ear. That is the process that brings these voices out. So it's nothing technical from that standpoint. It's literally the process of stochastic resonance.
All right. So unlike a lot of the software that's out there, right, there's no coding or algorithm that's actually attempting to pull phonic notes out of white noise. This is strictly amplification of existing sound patterns, whether they're in or out of our auditory spectrum.
Correct. So what happens when the white noise gets added, it's at a spectral frequency of 1, which means it, can I move the dog, please? It sits down here.
Yeah.
When a spirit speaks, they'll cover 5, 6, 10 frequencies. All frequencies are in white noise. So it'll cover those same frequencies. And then what happens is their voice gets elevated because you've got, it's the difference between a single bee flying a foot from your head or the whole hive.
Well, yeah, you have compounding amplification.
Correct, of the same frequencies.
Yeah.
So when the voice goes up, then we cut the white noise out, leaving just the voice.
And what's the process? And again, if this is, if this is, keys to the kingdom or about looking behind the curtain, just don't answer it. But how do you cut that? How do you slice through the white noise while you're registering these multi-layer frequency pings.
Well,
Is
broadband
there-
is every frequency the human ear can hear. So we don't have to modulate that. When they speak, they're going to cover whatever frequencies, and that can range from 100 hertz to 10,000 hertz. They're all over the boards. Everyone always says, what's the frequency spirits speak at? There is not a single frequency.
Well, that's
They
like the
are
idea
all
of
over the
decibels.
board.
You know, you have 20 to 43, typical human ear.
20 hertz to 20,000 hertz.
Is it 20/20 hearing? I always remember there's one that isn't. So there's 20/20 vision, 20/20 hearing, and then the smell, I think, is the 20 to 45, where it's like microparticles per
Correct.
million.
But yeah, hearing is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, or 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, whichever way you want to say it.
We'll go kilohertz.
Okay, so
it's cleaner.
So call me ignorant here, and this is just me actually.
You're
like
ignorant.
I am. But like you said 2 shows ago, Ian, ignorance is not a showing of stupidity. It's just something I do not know.
You're damn right. Ignorance is only the opportunity to become informed.
Exactly. All right. So can you tell me the difference, or tell us, everybody listening, the difference between Spirit Box, between ITC, between DRV, between Staticom? Like, what are the differences in the steps of the progression?
Well, the difference is that, you know, when any spirit communication first came out, it was all called EVP.
Sorry about that.
EVP is record and review, meaning you start your recorder, you ask your questions, then you stop it, you take it home, maybe hours later, maybe days later, you upload it to your computer, and then you review it. So it's called record and review, meaning that by the time you hear what's on it, you're no longer there. You're back at home, you're not in the location. It's record and review. ITC, or instrumental transcommunication, was designed to be two-way communication, meaning you could ask a question, get an answer, get it in real time, and then reply again. That's the difference between EVP and ITC. The difference between a spirit box and DRV is that a spirit box would scan up and down radio dials. DRV would sit on a vacant frequency, so white noise only, no radio, no movement. That's the difference between spirit box and direct radio voice. Then Staticom is just a complete transition. No radio. Everything is done live in real time, including slowing down live white noise by 50%. Why did we do that? Because spirits will speak so fast that you think you're getting a syllable, and then when we reduce it by 50%, it's a full sentence sounding like I'm speaking as I'm speaking right now.
Okay, fantastic. So where does that fall in line with the whole? Sorry, Ian, didn't mean to cut you off.
No. I want to see if I can dumb it down.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And if I'm gonna, and again, Tony, correct me if I'm wrong here. We're kind of talking the difference between software, firmware, hardware.
No, the only software is literally the same software you'd use to produce a record.
Well, I mean, from a operational perspective, the different types of communications, right? You have one that relies heavily on the software of the human brain, where we are the pattern recognizers. We are the ones that are encrypting and decrypting the data. Then you have the firmware, which is kind of like the latent combination of how the hardware operates, versus yours, which is essentially strictly a hardware situation. And it's literally just pumping out raw material for us to hear, whereas there are data processing points in the other methods, whether it's human or software, actual software.
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think I would disagree that like a spirit box has any processing to it. And I understand you're saying that the processing is on the human side, going, well, I think I heard this, or I think I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's, you know, like you said, more on the pattern recognition of what they think they're hearing. But that literally is the problem with it, is that nobody would agree on what they were hearing, which is why science never took it seriously, which is one of the things we knew we had to change.
Now, this is an excellent question coming from our brother Damien over in Scotland. With Staticom, you say that the spirits transmit on all frequencies, but is there a preference of frequency range that they use or can manipulate more?
We've got them between 100 hertz to 10,000 hertz. That's typical. But you also got to remember that by the time we've manipulated it, it's in the human hearing range. Did it start there? No, probably not. The stochastic resonance brought it into our range of hearing through the system. So now we can only evaluate it through the conversion and the elevation of the speech to bring it into our human hearing. So to say it started somewhere between 100 hertz and 10,000 hertz probably isn't fair to say, because we manipulated it to bring it into the human senses or human hearing.
So I'm not going to lie, Tony, when we started this show and I was told that you guys were coming on and I had access to a little bit of the information about what you were doing, I had no urge to buy a Staticom.
Now he does.
We are now 41 minutes in, and were I not working on a hotspot, your website would absolutely be up on a secondary tab with a cart loaded, because
we appreciate that,
because
we haven't even hit Staticom yet. You've only played direct radio voice. You have 3 more systems to go through before we hit Staticom 3.0.
Well, so I've watched the videos. Like I do a little bit of pre-work, and even watching the videos, because I think of a similar mind to you a little bit, where I'm very hesitant to believe equipment. Anytime you have to like walk into a place with a piece of machinery, I instinctually assume confirmation bias in the equipment, because you are marketing it to a particular group of people. You want it to be effective. But based on our conversation tonight, the tech that you have here, you'd be really hard pressed to flub it. Like it'd be really difficult to kind of force this to work.
Correct.
Like you would have to go to outlandish measures to falsify the kind of things that we're talking about tonight. And so as the consummate skeptic, I'm super interested in what you have. And this is, irrelevant for you, but I dig it. This is an endorsement from one of the most ridiculous skeptics who has no credibility and no footprint. But I think this is super interesting, the way that you've approached this.
Thank you.
From such a technical perspective. And I've asked a couple of questions that were maybe, swinging in a lower league than I needed to, but the way that you've answered them, man, I'm actually kind of excited to order one of these and really give it a rip.
But the problem is,
there's one that exists.
We're not
today.
selling. It's only for pure research only.
Yeah, we have never sold anything. People have asked, even the 14 spirit boxes, and our last 2 worked phenomenal. It was all for research. We didn't sell anything. Now, Staticom is a different story, because we've blown away PhD scientists. We had the voices analyzed by audio engineers, and they're like, we've never heard anything like this. This can't be produced from randomness. The voices indicate the same vowels, consonant, diphthongs, emotional state of human voice. We've never heard anything like it.
All right. Well, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and play another clip? So this is the one of Energy of Your Mind, it's titled.
Okay, so this is Staticom 2.0. Radio is gone. Everything is done in real time. The white noise, slow down, the filtration. So basically, we flip the white noise generator on, it goes through the filters, and this is what comes out.
All right, let's see what we got here.
You hear me speak. How do you hear me speak?
That's
So
very
that's-
interesting. What location was that at? Because that's kind of
Our house.
Okay. There's that.
The
Well,
thing
we
about
always just-
Staticom is that spirits, we believe, are not confined to the human construct of time and space. They do not have to be in our house to answer. They can answer from anywhere. But
Thank
the
you,
question
Tony.
is because we don't use any mics, I don't broadcast my voice. When my vocal cords create speech, it creates sounds within the atmosphere, which travel maybe 100 to 300 yards before they dissipate. Another human standing within that range has human ears. Those follicles in the ear vibrate, sends that vibration to a liquid center of the ear, which then sends that vibration to the brain. The brain recognizes that speech.
Well,
This was
Tony,
into-
you're making a wild assumption that based on human observation, that the actual vocalizations and the reverberations caused by human voice have a limited range based on the perception that we've actually been able to have.
Well, they do by the laws of physics, because they will dissipate by atoms, molecules, and ions. Thank you. Ions within the environment before they break apart. That is why there's a limited range of human speech.
But that's only assuming that human speech exists strictly on a wavelength. Right? That assumes that we are only speaking on wavelengths, that we are not speaking through actual through protons. And so you have that. Do not worry about dogs at all. I have the wildest pup at home. That's usually why I'm in this office here, unfortunately. And for anybody that was curious, the reason why you're just looking at my image.
Okay, hold on a second, because I didn't hear anything you said. Our dogs, somebody knocked on the door, our dogs started barking, and I had to kick the volume. Otherwise, they would have been pulling your eardrums out.
I said, don't worry about dogs.
My statement was based on another human being able to hear my vocals in that range. So my question was, if they're not human and their energy, frequency, and vibration don't have those ears to pick up that, how do they hear me speak? Their answer was, we call it death, energy of the mind. That's the thing. So what that tells us is two things, and this proves 10 years of EVP research, because a lot of times the answer would show up on the recorder before I even finished asking the question. The second thing it proves the survival theory, which science is now going down, saying that they believe consciousness could survive death, and that supports that theory.
Well, because again, this is where my other show, this is where the Get Moderated show really dives into. But what are the two states in which energy can exist? Right?
Well,
it can either exist in a wavelength,
but it either has to be rechargeable or it'll dissipate and change form.
Well, all right. So the transmission of energy, I should say, it's either through particle or wavelength, right?
Correct.
So you either have an individual particle in which can transmit energy, or you have a wavelength which is able to transmit energy.
So I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Ian, this sounds like somebody you need to get on, Get Moderated.
Yeah, I think this would be a great probably discussion for that show, because everything we did was done so that we did not collide with the rules of science, and we did not collide with the religious background of basically any religion out there, and we did that purposely.
Well, what's wild, Tony, I am scientific minded. It's no surprise to any of our regular viewers, deeply autistic. Also an ordained minister, raised Catholic. And so I love that you kept that in mind, but also from the faith perspective, there's a deeper role here where I genuinely think we are 5-dimensional beings piloting a 4-dimensional object through 3-dimensional space, observing 2-dimensional reality.
I would probably disagree with that only because our philosophy is analytic idealism. Life is completely subjective and completely mental. So,
all right, so a bit more Buddhist, where life is pain, pain is life, and all that encompasses that can surface.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're talking about the way that we're describing how this works, if materialistic science says if the brain dies, the body dies, consciousness dies, this clearly shows that's not the case.
Well, and again,
we would not be getting responses. So
to my argument, that is our 4th-dimensional self, right?
I mean, you can call it that, but it's just it has to show that consciousness precedes life, is some sort of division of you in human form, and then returns back to whether you call it universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it. But that would be the only way for them to be able to get the question I'm asking, if it's not from my vocals, transmitted at the speed of light and then returning with an answer with timing and relevance and
how
with
is sound
intelligence.
And so that actually, the way that you phrase that question actually bolsters my argument. How does the speed of sound travel at the speed of light?
Speed of sound, again, is a man-made
construct. Unless there's another plane in which the intent of that vocalization is traveling.
Well, I mean, that's a possibility too, but those are factors outside of our knowledge of information. And there's lots of possibilities. There's lots of theories about how many planes there are. There is some scientific research being done, and advancements are definitely being made. I completely agree. But when we designed this, we tried to work with variables that we could understand. We didn't want to go down subpaths where we created explanations based on something that we either couldn't prove or couldn't control.
And Tony, that's exactly why I'm not on your path, because I would follow those rabbit holes till the end of time, and I would get lost in them.
And totally get that and totally understand. But in order for us to prove this to the next level, that spirit communication is possible, that it does happen, can happen, and we can make it happen, we had to follow those rules to avoid typical skepticism, typical denial of, oh, they're doing something wrong, or we wanted to avoid as much of that as we could. So
what you would say
has to take it seriously and say, okay, wait, how is this happening then?
So what you would say is that your credibility was actually more important than your results.
No, never said that at all. I said the results have to be, you have to remove the low-hanging fruit so that somebody can't come along and bring up something like, well, they're getting straight radio waves.
Tony, I'm going to say
I didn't say anything about my credibility.
Hold on. No. I think you misunderstood what I was asking. You're saying credibility was the front runner in your goals, where...
Oh, correct.
Yeah, and that's what I meant by when I said that your credibility was more important than the results, was that you weren't going to create false results.
Correct.
Because credibility was more important.
Yes, that I'll completely agree with.
Okay, all right, yeah. So credibility more important than the results. I'm on the same page. That was my intent for that question. And I knew based on no. And I knew the moment you said no, I was like, whoa, I got to dial him back because he didn't understand me. No.
So Tony, Ian and I have a thing on the show where if we know things are going to go south, we remove ourselves from the studios. So when I knew Ian asked that question,
this is about trying to remove, but you clarified, so thank you.
No, and honestly, Tony, again, I ask questions that sometimes are below my strike zone. And I do that because I know that there are individuals that watch this show that sometimes I go on tangents and I word things in a particular way that are hard to follow. And so
not a problem at all.
And sometimes when I throw a meatball across the plate and I know how someone's going to answer the question and they don't, I do need to kind of double check, because truthfully, everything you said tonight has been around the idea that scientific credibility has been at the forefront of your mind with every step you've taken in developing this tech. And correct. No matter what, and you did say you wanted to be respectful of religious, how do you say it, orientations?
Yeah, I mean, we were just trying
affiliations, I think, is
create a divide, and we may use other terms like universal consciousness, where religion says we're all part of God. You know, that's minor terminology, and half the problem in discussing something is the English language itself, because it creates things that aren't there. Like if I say this is a fist, people are going to agree. Where'd it go?
I don't know. I'd argue that that's just a hand.
Well, correct, because it's not, the fist isn't a thing, it's a behavior. Right.
Well, and so what's wild for me is you've talked about being kind of catering to faith and the universal consciousness. And correct. Being someone that, again, I got ordained out of spite. That's not the first time I've said this on the podcast.
No, it is not.
Raised Catholic, waged a war against God in my early teens as a quote unquote atheist, waging a war against someone who I proclaimed didn't exist. So the cognitive dissonance was real.
Right.
And came to it later in life where faith kind of just hit me, right? But also someone who 100% believes that as humans, as people, our understanding of our surroundings is about 5% of what is actually happening.
Well, no doubt about it, because we're using basically an instrumentation panel like inside of a plane.
Yes.
Pilots cannot have the window in front of them, land that plane, take off, know how high they are, but that's a representation of the world around them. But can they land the plane, take it off by just that instrumentation? Yeah, they can.
Exactly. You know what?
That's exactly like the human senses. They give us a representation of the world around us, but
that
not
is one
the
of the
world
greatest
as it actually might be.
That is one of the greatest analogies. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to use that in my regular life. I'm 100% going to steal that from you.
Very cool. Do we have time to play one of the, even if we skip ahead to 3.0?
Oh,
I just want you guys to be able to hear.
No. We're good till 11 p.m. EST.
So, okay, good. I wasn't sure.
No, we are completely fine. I was waiting for actually Ian to stop asking his questions, and you know what, Ian, it's not a dig at you or anything. It was actually a very good line of questioning. I was just waiting to ask. I was waiting to ask which one do you wanted us to play? If you wanted to play the fourth room, or if you wanted to play the 1898 one.
Do you have one called Responses?
I can have one here in 2 seconds.
Okay, cool. Because that's a good one.
All right, Responses coming up here. Right, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, I don't have it.
Rathman, I heard you say Rathman.
What did you want to say to Roger? It's Tony. Spirits, can you hear me? Yes, okay. That was a loud voice that just answered. What's your name? That's a strange name. How many spirits are here with us right now? A lot? A lot, yeah, that's what I thought you said. Because there's so many of you, is that why all the background chatter? They're talking? Do you have any messages for us? Rathman, I heard that.
All right, Ian, I will give you a 30-second retort to that.
I have no retort. Honestly, this equipment, I'm on board.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I think that I'm going to be kind of a jerk, kind of an asshole here in saying that
No.
you haven't distributed this firmware or hardware to the masses is a bit of a disservice.
Well,
You're keeping it all to yourselves.
It's not a matter of keeping it all. This isn't like a spirit box where you, and I'm sure there's people out there that can do it because there are ones that are working on similar things. But for the majority of people, it's not a spirit box where you hit the on switch and then ask questions. It takes knowledge of sound, frequency, what physics principles, and other things like patience to get it dialed in. Now, 3.0 has solved a lot of those problems. But the other problem is in order to distribute, in order to manufacture, there's two of us, my wife and I. We both work full-time jobs. And to do that, imagine if we just gave it out to 1,000 people. How many questions do you think would be coming into us? Well, I hooked it all up. I turned it on. It's not working like yours. What do I do? That would stop our research, right?
No.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but to add that, actually, there's a class in order for other people to start with this process. It's out there. So
that is correct. Keith J. Clark, don't know if you know him, but he's on Facebook. Look him up. He'll get you started where we started and get you on the path.
yes.
Don't tell it to Ian because I won't hear from him for 3 months. He's going to be locked in his garage.
But yeah, it is being
just
shared.
So you guys know, my garage is a weird amalgamation of woodcrafter psychosis and paranormal.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure my wife would agree that our house is like that too.
and there's nothing finer than taking a chisel and running it across a piece of wood and pulling out a fine piece of paper. Except when you're soldering the last connection. And Tony, I think you'll understand that. When you're soldering the last connection on a device that theoretically
and turning it on and having it work. Yeah, that's a wonderful feeling.
He can't solder. He has a big hand.
It's more difficult with big hands.
I do the soldering.
You did do something.
There are some.
Sherry became an expert. Good for you.
Half the stuff we've accomplished, I could not, would not, or had not been able to do without you. That's no.
Without my small fingers.
Well, not just that.
From a guy with sausage fingers, I'll tell you. I do. Each one of my fingers are the size of a Italian breakfast sausage.
He
There
does
are-
have some big fingers. All right, so all right. I'm going to give you
Oh.
dealer's choice here. Which one do you want to play? 1898 or Fourth Room?
Fourth round.
All right. I didn't know. Like, I just see RO, so I thought it was room. I didn't know it was round.
Oh yeah,
so, all right.
fourth round. Not a problem. Yeah, play
All
fourth
right.
round.
All right. Let's hear this now. This is 3.0.
Time what? I can hear you when you whisper, you know that, right? Spirits, if you're not familiar with this device is called Staticom. If you heard me say Staticom. That's better.
Now, can you say Staticom for me, please?
Alright, Spirits, if you don't want to say Staticom, let's play another game. What am I holding in my hand? Glasses, thank you. Thank you very much. How about pineapple? Can you say pineapple? Oh, perfect, thank you. How come you can't say Staticom like that?
It's one word.
It's one word, Staticom. Have you not been able to talk to humans before? If you can hear me, spirits, say elephant.
Do you know Tony?
It's me. If we use this device to help cold cases, will you answer the question? Yeah, sure. You bet. Thank you.
That will help.
That'll help a lot.
Is that one of your focuses now? Is to
No, the 3.0 is that 3.0 was made to keep the communication going, whereas 2.0 we'd get a couple of sentences and then we'd get garbled mess. 3.0 we accomplished that. The communication goes as long as either A, the machine is on, or they're willing to respond, and nothing stops it like it used to in previous versions.
now here's the question: are you guys wanting to use this technology to help with cold cases?
Absolutely.
All right, so there's that hidden meaning behind what you're doing is you want to help with cold cases, and I find that completely admirable. And you guys are doing it for the right reason, not just because of the unknown, but also helping families find their final resting, their
Correct.
their answers they're looking for.
There's a lot of people suffering from so many reasons. If you lose a loved one, that grief can be overwhelming. Staticom does have the ability to connect to individuals, and we've had it happen both from us. I spoke to my grandfather. My wife spoke to her mother. Both no longer here. Our former counterparts have done it. They've heard from parents, grandparents. But we've also had it happen when we do live demonstrations. We had a woman in the audience. She had lost her son about a year ago. They had a keyword phrase. She asked for him. His voice appeared. He gave the phrase that they agreed upon. Then she asked him what his dog's name was. He answered it. So this does absolutely have that capability, but it can bring peace to grieving families that are missing someone. It can give piece to somebody who not only is grieving but doesn't know what happened. Spirits will not give us future information, but they will give us anything that's already occurred.
Now, see, that's the great thing about it is like it's one of those things where you guys are taking it in the right direction of what you guys want to do with it.
Thank you.
And it's amazing the technology you guys have discovered and have been able to bring forward to the light. Yes, as Ian said, it's a travesty and a disservice to everybody out there to be able to, because as a paranormal investigator, all we ever say is we're here to tell your story.
Right. No, and you're absolutely right. And we know they want it. They've been asking. We've been doing this now for a couple of years. We keep promising, and every time we got close, even when there was 4 of us, another upgrade would be put in. And we thought, okay, well, now everybody who has it, do we have to go through, up to teach them how to upgrade? And like I said, even with 4 of us, it was overwhelming. So, but upgrades kept happening, and they're still happening, and that may happen for a while. Eventually, somebody's going to come forward and say, we'll produce this if you'll split whatever, and then that's probably how it'll become available. But
Tony, I think you're talking to your man right over there.
Right. On the science side of it, there's questions being asked. We're going to the Halifax Paranormal Symposium to talk about it this year. We're going to Phenomicon to give a 90-minute lecture and demonstration on it. So the interest is growing, and as people find out this is here, it exists, and communication is possible.
Well,
Yeah,
don't be surprised if go ahead, Sherry. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I
was just looking on the chat room. I see Damian Smith says, "Can it lie?" Is that a question, or is
can it lie?
I don't think so far from our experience with other people. They ask a question and the response is correct. So haven't.
Let me say that what we've been able to research from responses, 95% of it is correct. Like when Cherie was sick and they told me, I said, what should she take? And they told me Percodan. I didn't even know what Percodan was. I had to look it up. Percodan is a prescription strength pain reliever consisting of oxycodone and aspirin. The fact that they could give me that answer, which was exactly what she was saying, I'm in pain. Things we can look up and research, about 95% of it is correct. Can they lie? Well, I'm sure they can.
I don't think why would they?
Well, it depends who you're speaking to. And that's the question people ask us all the time. Do you know who you're speaking to? The fact of the matter is, you don't.
Now, do you believe in the beginning of the show? And this is one of the questions I'm going to ask. We're like a minute 13 into the show. It's not a big deal or anything. We have one more clip to play for you. But you said in the beginning of the show that, the Staticom can weed out whether it's an adult, a female, a male, a child, this, that, everything else. Now, do you believe in the theory that demons, and I'm going to use that word just for this case, do you believe that demons will present themselves as children to gain trust?
If they have the ability to alter voice, to affect electronics, do you always have to be both A, careful, B, skeptical, and try to get any information through the method you're using to either validate or create some sort of skepticism about who's communicating with you? You can never let that guard down.
Just make sure you have holy water in your house.
We do.
I do as well. It's as common stock in my house.
Yeah. Well, those dangers are very real, Rush. Absolutely.
Oh, no, trust me. I know. I got an attachment myself from Bobby Mackey's in 2010. And trust me, I am very aware of the dangers and things of that. So I'm speaking on personal terms here. That's one thing that affected my life greatly.
We've been through our share as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. No, that's 100%. But I think in Ian over here, my gracious co-host, who has just decided to show his guns all evening tonight.
I didn't choose this.
It chose you, right?
I am having hotspot issues. I'm having Wi-Fi problems. I do have to contact Comcast in the morning. But yes,
All right,
not
Tony,
streaming video this evening.
I will play this one last clip here, and you're going to kind of explain it to us. This is the Staticom 3.0 1898 clip.
Okay.
So kind of give us a little bit of a background here.
Sure. So this was done 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yes.
We got called to a person's house. It was an 1898 train depot that they reconverted to a family home. They were having all sorts of strange activity. They asked us, they had heard about Staticom. They asked us if we could bring it. This is a small clip from about a 3-hour investigation.
All right, and we will play it right now for you guys. Get your ears on again.
Hey, spirits, can I ask a question? What's the animal on Roger's lap? Got it. Does anything come into this house that shouldn't be coming into this house? I heard protect.
Somebody here said at the end. Who's here? Anything buried outside?
Yes.
Dead. Dead. He said dead.
Great. There's a cemetery like 4 houses down. Oh. Who's in Zach's room? Who tripped Steve in the kitchen?
Touching.
I heard that too.
No way.
I heard that voice again, but I didn't hear what it said. Does this house ever get visited by extraterrestrials?
I have so many questions from that.
Go ahead.
1, why was the ghost naked? 2, the touch it thing.
Yep.
3, was there ever a response of extraterrestrial?
8-to-1 spirit. But then the question is, what's the other one?
All right. All right.
She asked about extraterrestrials. The answer that came back was 8-to-1 spirit.
So there's 8 spirits to every one unknown.
That's how I took it. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Ian, do you have anything?
No, I mean, when you think about that there is potentially 8 different entities per one actual spirit.
You're very
No, what she was asking was, do extraterrestrials visit the house? And the answer that came back was 8-to-1 spirit, meaning the majority are spirit, not extraterrestrial. I'm assuming extraterrestrial is the one.
Oh, my universal perspective is there are probably far more extraterrestrials than there are spirits.
Ian, you're all robotic.
Well, I'll tell you that the hotspot might be failing.
All right. Well, so why don't we do this? Tony, Sherry, tell everybody where they can find you. When are you going to start selling the Staticom? When are you going to be able to put this out to the masses? Because you may have a person here in Ian Murphy over here that will just sit in his garage and just build shit for you.
Well, first of all, they can find.
Where can they
us at
find?
my
Yeah.
house.
Well, we're not. I'd love to come to your house. I've never visited Phoenix before, so I would love to come there.
Yeah, come on down.
We can be found by the general public on Facebook, either under Tony Rathman or Sheree Rathman. The best place to go is probably our website, entityvoices.com. There's some investigation stuff up there, investigations we've done quite a few years ago. There's Tire Staticom section, clips, podcasts, where we're going to be next, where we're presenting it. Everything from, there's a Staticom blog, talks about things we're looking into, what we're trying to accomplish. So that's a good place to go. YouTube, if you just type in Staticom, you'll come right to the page. There's hundreds of clips from everything from DRV to 3.0, if you're more interested in responses given. Those are probably the best places to start. There are others, but those are the major ones.
That is absolutely fantastic, guys. And, thank you so much for coming on tonight. It was really eye-opening for me because, like I said, I've always been an audio person when I've been investigating and everything, but hearing this stuff tonight, well, I mean, it's not the first time I've heard it, but hearing it tonight, it actually made me, and hearing the science behind it, really made me think that this is kind of the new future on where things are going to go. And, and personally for myself, if I could sit down and use the Staticom to talk to my grandmother, who I know is still around, I would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I mean, the possibilities of it range from understanding that there's a lot more to life than what we know, that there's a lot more and the existence of the afterlife, but it can even be broken down to other layers, like how is that energy being transmitted across whatever distances they're speaking from? How is it happening so quickly that could change things like the way information for internet is processed? How is that occurring? And could we send signals back and forth around the world or to different galaxies instantaneously? So, the layers just keep unfolding on what this might be able to shed some light on.
Well, all I can say, Tony and Sherry, keep doing the good work. I mean, you guys are pulling us into a new generation of what's to come. I know you guys are working hard, and so many others out there are working so hard as well to advance this community. And it's not only just the community that it's advancing; it's advancing so many other things as well.
Correct.
So, I mean, good for you guys. Standing ovation for you. Kudos. I'm calling for you to make this public so people out there can see it and use it and see how it works. Yes, there is some training involved, there is some troubleshooting involved and things like that, but I think something like this will be a lot better than a ghost box, where the ghost box you just turn on and let it run.
Miles ahead of ghost box.
What was that, Ian? You're
miles ahead of ghost box.
Okay, can't hear him.
Oh, all right. Well, everybody have a good night.
Now you're clear. What the?
I said miles ahead of ghost box.
Okay, all right. There you go. You're clear now. Like I couldn't understand.
That was very clear. Yeah. No, and thank you for that. I mean, we've been working nonstop on this, and we've been doing this spirit communication for 15 years. So, and like I said, we spent a year trying to get that one clear from DRV,
and we're broke now.
it's not cheap to
do this. Sell some stuff.
Yeah,
he doesn't want it.
Sell it. Put it,
He
market
doesn't
it.
want it.
She tries to get me to sell it, but I take some pride in the fact that it wasn't done to be sold. It was done 100% for the research. And as soon as she starts auctioning off my past builds, I lose that credibility.
No, you don't lose the credibility, Tony. Think of this.
Hold on.
Okay.
So Tesla, right? Tesla invented the ability to transmit electricity
Wirelessly, yep.
Wirelessly for the sake of research. But who won? Who electrocuted the elephant?
Edison.
So here we are running with alternating current and direct current.
Correct.
Between multiple devices.
Yep. Which is a total waste when you've got a 5-volt running into a 110.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to talk about the fact that you have diminishing return on direct current versus alternating current, which can be transmitted with almost zero loss.
Right.
So, I mean, when you're sitting at the precipice of a technological advent, as you may be doing, I'm not going to make any grand boasts, but I mean, Jerry might have a point. Just saying.
Sell some stuff to fund the future
Thank
research.
you, Ian.
Tony, come on. How great
closet.
would that be to have a first edition autographed Tony Rathman Staticom in somebody's hands that is using videos on YouTube to be like, I got this from him. This is the only one out here.
Or how great would it be that we moved away from the spirit box? And
yeah, and that's the goal.
And we're actually able to communicate with consciousnesses outside of our universal perspective.
Correct. Right.
All right, guys. So it has been such a wonderful night. I'm sure Ian's going to get a hold of you, Tony, after the show to get you on Get Moderated, because Get Moderated 2.0, of course.
Be honored.
My lovely co-host Ian Murphy is the host of that show, and he deep dives into the scientific aspect of everything, and that was the perfect guest for it. So you guys can get into megahertz and everything like that. So
sounds fantastic.
You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. And I will share all your links tomorrow on the Compass of Curiosities page and get you guys out there. And that's going to be the first question. We've already had it in the chat is, where can I get one? So
awesome. We appreciate
Sherry. Start kicking his ass a little bit and start pushing him towards getting rid of some stuff so he can improve a little bit more.
We'll do.
As soon as Staticom, we've reached out to some pretty hefty individuals in both afterlife and consciousness. We're waiting for responses to help push this forward on a grander scale. When that occurs, and I'm assuming it won't be long now, yeah, some of the other stuff that she's hoping to sell, we can probably dispose of.
Tony's hiding something. I can see it on his face already. I can read body very well. Tony's hiding something. That big ass smile across his face. He knows something's coming that we don't know about. That's for damn sure. I know how to read body language. But Tony, Sherry, you guys have been absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for the news that Tony's going to post probably within the next couple of weeks, because that face says it all. Ian, keep an eye out because you may be able to purchase one soon. But you guys, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you guys for having us.
It really has been an absolute entertaining, educational, and very pivotal moment in the paranormal field where we can actually take something to a step above.
Well, we appreciate you having us on. We appreciate you taking the time on your show time for us to be able to discuss it. And I want to say as a last closing statement is that we want to share this. We want to get it to a point where it's ready to go out and get it into the hands of the public, because it will change everything from science to religion to human thinking, not only about the planet, but of the other lives on it, how they're treated, what happens after. And we need it because the world's in a rough spot.
It definitely is. So, guys, thank you so much. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you for sparing your time tonight. Enjoy the desert heat out there because up here in Massachusetts, it's been back and forth
It's
with
pushing
bipolar
100
weather.
now.
Yeah, it's climbing, and we'll be in the 115s here shortly. But
Yes.
thank you again. I can't.
We
tell you
just
how much.
recently had second spring. I don't know if you're familiar with that concept.
We got up to 66 degrees today.
So we have
lucky you guys.
winter. We have winter, spring, second spring, winter, summer, spring,
Full spring.
full spring.
Wow.
I remember those days. I grew up in Wisconsin, and yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
I'd get up to go fishing, going, yeah, spring's here, and there were 6 inches of snow on the ground, and it was 30 degrees, and I'm like, nope, not today.
I already bought a cooling blanket and cooling pillowcase because it's really hot.
I love that we are at a stage of humanity that we can say the sentence cooling blanket.
Yes.
When she
we have reached the pinnacle of evolution.
How does it cool you?
It does.
But it does work. She's like, here, put your arm in this. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Feels like
Like that. Like
That's
Ian
amazing.
said, the pinnacle of civilization. We have reached cooling blankets and pillowcases. And I tell you what, there is nothing better than crawling into bed at night and your pillow being cold and the blanket just being cool and just get you snuggled in and make you go away.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you so much
Thank
again.
you
You guys
guys.
have been absolutely amazing. We will be coming up with you again because I'm sure something's going to be coming out here soon. So we will have you guys back on here again very soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank
both.
you.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. So next week we have a horror author coming on, Derek Barton. I have not read any of his books. Ian has not read any of his books. This is kind of a blind guess for us.
You, sir, are incorrect.
Oh, you have?
Well, I mean, over the past couple of days, I may or may not have done a little research.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good thing. But next week we have Derek Barton coming up on the show, and he's going to be discussing his books he writes and everything like that. So, like I said, on Compass Curiosities, you never know what you're going to get. We have audio engineers, we have authors, we have artists, we have cooks, we have everything. So, guys, cooks, yes, I've had a cook on my show before. Sam's Pretty Paranormal just caught up.
Hold on. Who was the cook you had on?
I and my friend Brody on, and they owned Crips restaurant up in Salem. It was a pop-up restaurant.
Oh, damn, man! You gotta get me involved in those ones because that's where I shine.
This was prior to you becoming involved with the show. This was This was pre-Ian. This was more other person kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha. And
so,
I gotta double check that I have the correct Derek Barton because there's quite a few books written by this individual, and I may or may not have read a couple of their things.
Okay, well, if you did, you're the only one because I have not because I'm a broke bitch. So
no, it's because you're a broke bitch. Public libraries exist, Russell.
Dude, you're like all robotic. Anyways, guys, we're gonna end the show tonight.
Libraries exist.
I don't have a library card.
All right.
I'm 40 years old. I'll be 41 in literally 10 days, and I do not have a library card.
You need to get a library card, man.
I mean,
that
is
like,
it is.
I'm not gonna lie, that's like one of the things that I insisted on. It was like Social Security card for my son, ID of some sort, passport, and library card. Like library cards are mandatory, man.
I didn't even have health insurance until last year. All right.
And Tracy coming out there. Of course I did. Yeah, because I'm on audiobooks like an absurd amount.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, we will see you next week.
Indeed.
Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully,
I'll have
work
Wi-Fi.
a little bit better.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully I'll have internet.
If not, you can just come over to my place and we can do it here together.
Not the only thing we've done together at your place.
We got this. All right, guys. Thank you so much again for listening to another episode of Compass Curiosities. We should just make the show an hour and a half long because
we really should. But I mean, you know what? No one's on our tail end. So if there's someone we don't like, we can cut it off at 59 minutes.
Well, everybody, please make sure to listen to Greg Bakken. Great host. Please make sure
an amazing show coming up behind us, by the way.
Yes, sir.
So tonight we actually have him coming on with Sarah from Get Haunted. Definitely check that out. They have an incredibly interesting topic. I don't want to give any spoilers, but definitely stay on the Get Haunted network for another, or come back in a half hour, take
another hour or something like that. Yeah, take the stretch break.
Yeah, come on back in. Definitely take a look at what they have going on, because Greg's episode tonight is actually going to be really interesting. It's going into the reality of the paranormal. Definitely going to be worth a watch, and take some time, check out some of the other creators on the Get Haunted network. It's
there's so many, dude. We have Kent Wilson with Paranormal Addicts. We have Trevor Faith with his
Trevor doesn't need a promo.
No,
Trevor's
got
his
Trevor
thing.
does. Yeah,
Trevor's got his thing. He's got his thing.
So
the haunted casket's going to kill it, regardless of whether
Oh God,
our little podunk thing is going to promo him or not. I hope he goes back and watches the last 10 minutes of our episode.
I hope he does too, and I will text him and tell him to. But you know what? No, it is absolutely great. Every show on the Get Haunted Network, and we don't give enough love sometimes to the Get Haunted Network. We're here because of the Get Haunted Network, and we appreciate everything they've done to support the guests they provided, everything like that. So, I really want to give a shout out to Rob, Sarah, Courtney, Trevor, Kent, all of them that share everything on Get Haunted and everything like that. You guys are absolutely amazing, and even Damien, risking his mornings coming in.
No, that dude
show
has an ability to show up for us content creators in a way that just
it's like he sniffs it
out.
Every
Every single show, I'll pop into a show and he's there, and then I'm on mine, he's there. Damien, dude, you are like one of the
amazing
for keeping us doing what we're doing.
Yes, and you know what? I'm going to say it every week. Without you guys, we're not going to be able. Ian and I, we're not going to be able to do what we do. You
you
guys coming and
you
listening,
might not be able to do it, but
no. I mean, but you guys coming out and listening gives us the platform to be able to speak and bring you new and interesting guests every week. And again, we have our tumblers available that Ian has not been drinking out of tonight.
No, because it's at the house. I forgot it at home, admittedly.
So we have the tumblers for $25, including shipping. We're getting t-shirts, we're getting stickers, we have koozies, we have keychains. So get a hold of me if you want any Compass Curiosities merch. So with that being said, guys, we will see you next week with Derek Barton, a horror author. So until then, guys, stay blessed.
The first annual Maine Paranormal and Horror Con is coming to Maine on September 6th and 7th at the Augusta Civic Center. Come meet your favorite paranormal investigators, cryptid hunters, and horror icons. Special guests include John Zaffis, the haunted collector from Sci-Fi, Jeff and Willie from Mountain Monsters, Bob Elmore Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, CJ Graham, also known as Jason Voorhees from Jason Lives Part 6, Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot, and many more to be announced. Tickets are on sale now. Go to mainparahorror.com to get your tickets and VIP packages now. For more information, check out Maine Paranormal and HorrorCon on Facebook and Instagram.